right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about the Chargers-Bengals game from last night, one of the best games of the weekend. Obviously, I wanted to open up the show talking about the Chiefs-Bills game because that was, the marquee matchup of the weekend. But this game was very good, very entertaining. A tale of two halves because the Chargers, they dominated the first half. And it looked like they were going to run away with it. Their defense has been playing really well this year. Justin Herbert has been starting to air it out more. And, that was on full display last night. Had a couple of nice touchdown throws to Will Dissly and then the second one to Quinn Johnston. But then things changed. The Bengals were down by as much as 27-6. And, they came back and tied the game. And at that point, you thought, well, the Bengals are going to win this game, right? No, they did not. They ended up losing, and they dropped to 4-7 on the season. And it's been a tough year for them. It really has. They really have just not been able to recover from the slow start because this is what the team is accustomed to doing is they start off slow, but then, they figure it out. But they have suffered a lot of heartbreaking losses, and this was yet another one. The two losses to the Ravens, of course, losing to the Patriots by 6 early on in the first game of the year. You lose to the Commanders in a back-and-forth game as well. The defense couldn't stop anything there. It's been a tough year for them. And it doesn't seem like they're going to overcome it, and they're going to end up missing the playoffs. And it's going to be weird not seeing Joe Burrow and the Bengals in the playoffs, but that's kind of where we're headed. And especially, you look at the division now with the Ravens and the Steelers, and we'll get into them. But, the Ravens are 2-0 against them. They're 7-4, and the Steelers are 8-2. So, yeah, it's been a tough go for the Bengals. Can they still pull off something and win out and make the playoffs? Maybe, but it's not going to happen. They are a flawed team. But like I said, this was a tale of two halves last night. The Chargers, they looked great to start off this game. Actually, the Bengals, to give them credit in the beginning, they actually, well, I don't really want to give them that much credit. But anyways, both teams punted to start off the game. Went 3-and-out very quickly. But then the Bengals put together a nice drive. They went 9 plays, 56 yards. You had Joe Burrow connecting with Jamar Chase for 32 yards. They got down the field. And Evan McPherson, who had a tough day, 26-yard field goal to make it 3-0. Then the Chargers on their next drive, they went 5 plays, 70 yards down the field, and Herbert connected with Will Dissly for a 29-yard touchdown, so that made it 7-3. Then the Bengals kicked another field goal on their next drive. They got T. Higgins back in this game, which was huge. He had a big day. The Bengals had to go for it on fourth down a few times, and they did go for it on 4th and 1 from their own 26, and Burrow connected with T. Higgins, and they thought he fumbled, but they reversed the call, and Bengals retained possession. He actually was injured on the play, but he was fine. He was able to keep going. But yeah, McPherson kicked a 27-yard field goal on this drive, and that led to the Bengals trailing 7-6. But then the Chargers answered with another touchdown. This was the Quinn Johnston touchdown. He had 22 yards to Quinn Johnston, then another 20 to Will Dissly, and then Herbert connected with Quinn Johnston for a 26-yard touchdown. And then the Bengals punted, and that led to another Chargers touchdown drive, 30-yard run by Justin Herbert. He did run a decent amount in this game. And then you had J.K. Dobbins from 1 yard out in 4th and goal, score a touchdown. So that made it 21-6. And then Cameron Dicker kicked a 19-yard field goal later to put them up 24-6. And yeah, that was the score. And you thought, yeah, this game's pretty much a wrap. And the Chargers actually were missing Khalil Mack in this game. I didn't realize that. It's a big loss there, but again, they still were able to get the win. But anyways, so it was 24-6. Both teams punted to start off the second half. Then you had another Dicker field goal, so that made it 27-6. It was a 53-yarder. And then this is when the Bengals started to mount the comeback. They went 11 plays, 70 yards down the field. And on 4th and goal, Joe Burrow connected with Jamar Chase. It was man coverage. He was one-on-one, and that's what they should have did last week on the 2-point conversion, is throw it to him. I don't know why Burrow, threw it to the backup, one of the backup tight ends, but He throws it to Chase, and that was big. So they were able to score there to make it 27-13. Then the Chargers, they went 3-and-out pretty quickly. And then the Bengals once again scored a touchdown. On 4th and 2, they go for it. They throw it deep to T. Higgins, and they connect. Burrow and T. Higgins connect for a 42-yard touchdown. So that made it 27-20. And then the Chargers are driving. They're moving the ball. They get down into Bengals territory. Herbert takes off with it, and then he ends up fumbling. It ends up being recovered by Geno Stone, and then the Bengals get the ball back, and they go down the field. He had 34 yards to Chase Brown, who had a good game, and Burrow connects with Jamar Chase for a 17-yard touchdown. And this was a little bit of an improvised play because you had Burrow redirecting Chase, and he got open, and Burrow connected with him, and that was the game-tying touchdown. So then the Chargers, they punted once again. So the Chargers' offense just disappeared in the second half. And then the Bengals had the opportunity to take the lead. They got all the way down to the Chargers' 30-yard line, and McPherson misses the 48-yarder. So then it's back in the Chargers' favor. Let's see what they could do. They go 3-and-out. They have negative 4 yards on that drive. So then the Bengals go down the field. They get down to the Chargers' 33-yard line, and then McPherson misses another field goal, a 51-yarder. And then the Chargers get the ball. And there was a couple of times where Herbert missed Ladd McConkey. They, of course, connected on the final drive. But you had Joshua Palmer. The ball was in his hands. He dropped it. Couldn't corral it. But yeah, the Bengals got the ball, and then they punted on their second-to-last drive. So that was unfortunate. They had to punt. I thought this game was going to go to overtime, but it ended up not. So yeah, the Chargers then get the ball, and then, like I said, McConkey was wide open on a pass by Herbert, but he overthrew him. You also had Quinn Johnston dropping a pass too. That would have been a big gain. That was a little bit out in front of him. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, Herbert connects with McConkey for the 28-yarder. Then another 27 to McConkey, and then J.K. Dobbins. I was really confused on the play because I thought I don't know if the Bengals were in between, like, should we tackle him and, I guess they line up for the field goal, or we just let him score. I mean, he did end up scoring the touchdown. That was from 29 yards out. So yeah, I guess he just ended up scoring on his own. So that put them up by 7, and then the Bengals got the ball back. They had a chance. Burrow connected with Yoshivas for 27 yards. I mean, it was a great catch. I mean, he had to go back and grab it. Otherwise, that would have been incomplete. But a great catch by him. And then he tries hitting Chase. That ends up being incomplete. And then he has to chuck up the Hail Mary. The Chargers, they rushed 4 on the play, rushed 4 or 5 on the play. So Burrow didn't have as much time to load up as he wanted to. And he did get it off. And T. Higgins did, get his hands on the ball. It's just it got knocked away, and the Chargers end up winning the game. But also another thing, too, is Joe Burrow got knocked around in this game. There were some late hits by the Chargers defense. He's been taking some punishment these last couple of weeks. And, you don't like to see that because, he's a guy that's been banged up throughout his career. And, you don't want to see him get hurt. But these last 2 weeks, he's been taking some punishment. But yeah, the Chargers pick up the win. They improved to 7-3 on the season. The Bengals dropped to 4-7. I did want to take a look at the quarterbacks and their stats from the game. Justin Herbert, in this game, a couple of touchdown passes. He had 297 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Joe Burrow, another solid day for him. 356 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions for him either. Justin Herbert, though, he had 65 yards on the ground. He was actually their leading rusher. The Chargers' offense ran the ball for 155 yards. 2 rushing touchdowns by J.K. Dobbins, 56 yards on the ground. You had Gus Edwards with another 27. Herbert actually only went 17 to 36. So completion percentage was down. Ladd McConkey, some big catches in this game. 6 receptions for 123 yards. Will Dissly, 4 for 80 and a touchdown. Quinn Johnston, 2 for 48 and a touchdown. Chargers defense, 3 sacks of Joe Burrow. And then, of course, like I said, Joe Burrow's stats. Chase Brown, a good game. 22 carries, 86 yards. He also had 5 receptions for 57 yards. T. Higgins, 9 receptions for 148 yards and a touchdown. Good to have him back. Jamar Chase, 7 for 75 and 2 touchdowns. Bengals defense, 2 sacks of Justin Herbert. But they unfortunately fall short. And look, they didn't really get anything going in the first half. The second half, they got it going. But, if you would have put together a complete game, maybe you win. But the other thing, too, is Evan McPherson, who was money. He has not been money, and he wasn't money in this game. He missed those 2 crucial field goals. The Bengals put them in a position to take the lead. The Chargers gave him every opportunity. The Chargers' offense disappeared in the second half. And the Bengals, they could not take advantage of it. And then Justin Herbert puts together that good drive, and it's capped off by the J.K. Dobbins touchdown. And they win the game. So, the Bengals are 4-7, and again, could they make a run? Yes, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And for the Chargers, look, they're 7-3. They are sitting in a great spot right now. Now they're 2 games behind the Chiefs with the loss to the Bills yesterday. So, they have an outside chance of maybe catching up to them. They do play them one more time, so they could close the gap even more there. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think this team right now, they look like they are going to make the playoffs. I give all the credit in the world to Jim Harbaugh for turning this team around. It's nice to see that Justin Herbert actually, might have his head coach now. It would have been bad if they would have lost this game because Justin Herbert has been part of some collapses when his teams have big leads. And, we point to the playoff game against the Jaguars. But they were able to put it together on that last drive, despite the Bengals' efforts, and they're 7-3. They're in a good spot right now. This is a good football team, and they are going to be a problem for whoever they go up against in the playoffs because Justin Herbert's playing really well. The defense has been the strength of the team. They're running the football effectively. This is a good team. And it was interesting because on the broadcast, they were talking about, who's going to step up now because, they were talking about the veteran guys that departed. Keenan Allen, of course, being traded. Mike Williams not coming back. Austin Eckler. Those guys are out. And Chris Collinsworth was saying, who's going to step up? And Ladd McConkey was the guy that stepped up. And he had some big catches on that last drive. I thought the Bengals were going to win. I thought all the momentum shifted. But McPherson just kept missed those 2 field goals. And Herbert and the Chargers offense put together that nice drive at the end that was capped off by the Dobbins touchdown. And they got the win. And that's a game that, in the past, the Chargers would lose, but not last night. But let me know what you guys think about this game. What were your takeaways from it? Let me know in the comments. So before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate. Get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the Super Chat button in the chat. And, with that, you can create any thought or comment you want to see me acknowledge throughout the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. Also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we will talk about the Steelers-Ravens game, how that game unfolded. Very different from the games that we just talked about. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.